The following program is sponsored by the Building Wisconsin Television Network.
Welcome to Building Wisconsin. I'm Stuart Keith, and on today's show, well, we're following a redevelopment project in downtown Madison. So let's get started with our developer, Erik Minton. Well, Erik, the project is coming along nicely. It's looking great, and there's an awful lot of construction going on. But let's begin by explaining what this building was down here on West Washington Avenue in Madison and what it's going to be.
Now, this was a really underutilized site that my eye doctor friend, Dr. Bonsetville, had owned for quite some time and been operating his eye clinic there. It was a well underutilized site with just about a 2,500-foot 1950s building sitting on a large open site with a lot of surface parking and asphalt.
Sure, so this redevelopment is a multi-use structure, so there's going to be some businesses in it, but it's also residential, so it's a great use for a downtown lot.
Sure, we're substantially increasing the impact and the use of the space, going from about 2,500 feet of usable space to 60,000 feet with a lot of underground parking and newly upgraded housing.
Well, it was quite a task to get it to this point. It obviously didn't happen overnight, but let's get the condensed version of the process you went through as the developer.
Oh, sure, it's been a long haul. It's been close to 9 years since I first talked to Dr. Bonsetville.
9 years, that's perseverance.
That's a long time. And Dr. Bonsetville and I came to terms very quickly on an idea to do something grander that was going to really make this place shine. We're excited to be here on West Washington Avenue. And obviously the mixed use aspect of the building has provided its own challenges.
What really took that long? I mean, 9 years seems like a long time to me.
There's a lot of negotiating, and we started with a much larger building, about 110,000 feet, with about 35,000 feet of retail office space and much more underground parking, which is underwater, of course, because we're between the lakes. But we started with a much larger structure, and a lot of negotiating went on in that time.
It seems to me there must have been a lot of give and take, not only from the city, but from your aspect as well.
Sure, and you know, the city staff has changed, and people have a lot of differing ideas of what ought to happen here. The one thing we did know is that this site in particular was noted for redevelopment. So we did have a spot that the city did want redeveloped, and we were happy to work in this area.
Well, you know, we've been fortunate here, especially in Wisconsin, a lot of the metropolitan areas, whether it's here in downtown Madison, Milwaukee, a lot of the bigger cities, are experiencing a lot of positive redevelopment, at least in my opinion.
All you have
positive.
to do is sit on the Beltline in the city for 30 or 40 minutes in rush hour, and you realize why it's nice to be in the downtown. There's so many great resources here and lots of great activities, and there's real life coming back to downtown Madison that wasn't here even 10 years ago.
Sure, and with that in mind, in your opinion, what does the project, whether it's this one on West Washington Avenue or any major redevelopment in a downtown metropolitan area, mean for the city and then the surrounding area?
I don't think you can call this major. I think this is part of the puzzle. If you put 10 or 20 or 30 of these buildings together, they make a big difference. We can literally create housing for thousands of people that want to be here. We can accommodate the cars, we can accommodate a walk to work, a bike to work, we can accommodate a lifestyle with minimal impact on the land and putting these people right where they want to be, which is right in the center of this engine that we call the great downtown Madison, Wisconsin.
Sure, and a lot of focus has been on the East Washington Avenue corridor. Your thoughts are this could be just as grand, if not bigger.
Well, we're starting with a grand, wide boulevard that leads right up to our Capitol, and it doesn't get any more special than that. So this, in my view, is a great spot to be. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to do business.
So really, when you look at this, you say it's not major development. you need more than just one of these, obviously, around here to really have a big impact on the city.
You do, and to support businesses, it was not many years ago that we had dozens of restaurants sitting empty on the square, and today those restaurants are bustling and they're full. If there's people living here, they can support the businesses, and we could support dozens, if not hundreds, of new small businesses in the downtown. And like I just said, 1 or 2 or 5 of these buildings is meaningless. If we could put 20 or 30 or 40 of these buildings here, we could bring legitimate life to not just living spaces, but active community business spaces that are vibrant rather than dying on the vine from the day they open. My feeling is that 1,000 units will not create a neighborhood that can support businesses, but 5 or 6 or 7,000 units could create a grand boulevard that be worthy of bragging about in any city in America, frankly.
Well, it's looking great. I'm anxious to get inside, catch up with the plumbers, learn more about that aspect. I'll catch up with you a little later in today's show.
All right, sounds good.
When a developer builds any project, especially a project like this, he doesn't want to have to worry about what kind of people are performing the project. He hires a professional contractor who has got well-trained, career-oriented plumbers on the job who have been trained through a 5-year apprenticeship. They do continuing education. They're constantly upgrading their skills to be able to perform at a competitive and productive rate so that this project's done on time and on budget for the developer. All construction jobs are very important. So whether you live there, you work there, you play there, every construction project is part of what builds our communities. You know, some people say that they're temporary jobs. When they see a building go up, they see the building's done, people move in. People in the construction industry, we live on doing project after project. We line them all up that build a long career. This job may be 4,000 hours, but you know, a plumber works 50,000 hours in his career before he's eligible for a good retirement. So that's what people strive for. They add up a lot of 4,000 hour projects until they build a career out of it and be able to retire with dignity and security.
Building Wisconsin is made possible by the members of Plumbers 75, proudly serving their contractors and helping build Wisconsin for over 100 years.
We all know the most basic form of life requires clean water to survive. On Earth, we need it to drink, cook, clean, and it touches just about every part of our quality of life. Here in Wisconsin, we appreciate the value of clean water even more as we live alongside the Great Lakes. Yet we often forget to think about how water gets to our homes, schools, and businesses, and then safely back to Mother Nature. Where does all the dirty water go? How is it fresh and clean every time we get a glass of water? Who makes this happen? The answer, plumbers. It's the plumbers who are trained, mentored on the job, and have progressed through a 5-year education program that takes them from apprenticeship to a master of their trade. It's plumbers who are committed to a career and have been trained to protect the health and safety of our water system and make sure you never have to think about where it comes from and where it's going. Yes, we're fortunate here in Wisconsin to have an abundant supply of clean, fresh water, but even more fortunate to have a highly trained and committed workforce to keep and deliver it that way.
Plumbers 75, supporting the plumbing trade in southeast Wisconsin for over 100 years. Since they opened their doors in 1928, H.J. Pertzborn Plumbing and Fire Protection has been proudly serving the greater Dane County area and beyond with high-quality, superior service. Built on strong family values and known for their highly skilled professional plumbers and unparalleled workmanship, this fourth-generation company has been trusted by thousands of Wisconsin families and businesses for all their plumbing and fire protection needs. Whether it's a leaky faucet, brand new kitchen or bath, or a major commercial project, you can count on H.J. Pertzborn Plumbing and Fire Protection to get the job done right the first time. H.J. Pertzborn and Plumbers 75, proud to be building Wisconsin. For more information on Building Wisconsin, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and be sure to watch additional episodes on YouTube or at our website, buildingwisconsintv.com.
Well, Jesse, I was just talking to Erik, and it's a beautiful building you guys are working on West Washington Avenue here. And throughout our conversation, he kept alluding to all the challenges from his perspective. But from the plumbing perspective, because Pertzborn Plumbing's, they're in charge of all the plumbing here, was it challenging working on a downtown site like this?
Very challenging. Everything down here is congested. The street is full of utilities, and the services that we have to provide for this building come from the street, the sanitary, the storm sewer, and the water. This project alone just took 2 weeks to get out of the roadway just due to utilities, elevations of different utilities, and to get them stubbed into the building.
Get out of here, 2 weeks, and that's what you're talking about is the metal plates right here in the middle of West Washington Avenue. Took you guys 2 weeks to get that done. Is that pretty typical in a downtown setting?
In a downtown setting with all the other utilities and the congestion, it's pretty typical, yes. But you have to get past all the other utilities, and with the sanitary, you have to maintain gravity flow. With water, you want to try to maintain a nice, even, flat elevation for your water main to run in, because we have to stub those into the building to catch the rest of the building's gravity drain sewer system.
Sure, that's just getting it from the street to the building. Now, as we look at the building per se, being what Erik said is this is actually below the level of the lakes when you start digging down. That's got to be challenging for you.
What happens in this situation is all of our utilities come to the sidewall of the building, and we're actually going to have a sump pump for the sanitary water that's below grade, and all that stuff will be pumped up and then discharged into the sanitary that comes through at ground elevation here through the sidewall of the building.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Being that it's below the water level, you're going to have a giant sump crock?
That's correct.
And then as that fills up with all the surface drainage, that gets pumped out.
That'll be pumped into the sanitary sewer system, which is then gravity fed out here to the street.
Get out of here. So to analogize for a viewer out there, it's like having a giant sump crock that they would have in their basement, only this must be a huge catch basin.
Yes.
And then that has to pump out just to handle all the surface drainage.
There's actually two down there. There's actually a sanitary one for car runoff and drainage of that nature, and then there's a storm for drain tile for groundwater. So that one's going to discharge and pump storm water into the storm sewer, and the sanitary will lift that sanitary drain water and dump that into the system as well.
Wow, sounds challenging to say the least. Can we head inside and see some of the guys in action?
We sure can. Down here in the first level of the parking structure, this is where we run everything out gravity. This is our gravity drain storm sewer, and our gravity drain sanitary sewer is just down a little bit. From here, we collect all the roof drain water, we tie it into our storm sewer, and from there it goes out to the public right-of-way storm sewer.
Wow, this is a massive pipe. I mean, 8 inches. Is that pretty typical in a structure of this magnitude?
With a building this size and a roof drain surface area, 8-inch is pretty typical.
So earlier I mentioned you're in charge of the surface drainage. When we talk about that, you're really concerned with whatever falls on the roof, your job to get it out to the city stormwater sewer.
Correct. We take it from the roof drains on the roof, we run it down through the building in several different pipes. They all convey at one spot, and we'll tie it into the storm sewer system that goes out of the building.
Okay, so what's going on here then? Is this temporary?
This is a temporary drain for our roof system, draining down into a sump crock pit that we have down on the second lower level of the parking structure, which conveys also storm water, which will soon be pumped up and tying into this existing gravity drain.
So when you're done, this will be tied into here, and this will be a discharge pipe from that giant sump crock in the basement that'll also be tied into here.
That's correct. The two systems will all drain through one pipe going out of the building.
Okay, that takes care of the drainage here.
Yep.
What about that? Is that the water main?
This is our 6-inch ductile iron water main. It's going to supply the domestic water use and the fire protection of this building.
Well, you think about the water main coming into a house, it's about this big.
Right.
I mean, that's huge, 6 inches. A lot of water required in a structure this size.
There is a lot of water requirements. From here, it'll go through a meter, a bypass, and then it'll feed out and supply the rest of the building.
Okay, Jesse, up here on the 3rd floor. These must be the apartments in this multi-use building.
This is one of the apartments in the building. You can see that there's a sanitary waste stack, which is actually catching the sanitary from all floors coming down. We have our cold, our hot, and our return risers. These are water piping that goes out and disperses throughout the unit, feeding the unit with water.
Are you a fan of the PEX tubing? That's really an advancement in the industry.
It has some good advantages of ease the connections, easy to install, less time. You're not soldering anything anymore. You're basically pulling the PEX through the building structure itself.
And obviously, this is a multi-story building, so you have to be concerned as the plumber of all the supply and waste above, but also below. And if this is the 3rd floor, that means the 2nd floor, the ceiling between is all concrete like we're standing on. That's more of a traditional wood subfloor. Is that a challenge for you working with concrete?
That is. They call this a post-tension deck, and what we have to do prior to them pouring the concrete is we lay out the unit, we set sleeves, and then they come by and they pour the concrete. And then all of our piping comes up through those sleeves, and they just then build the walls around these sleeves that we've laid prior to the concrete being poured.
And then is it fair to say from this level on up, it's more like traditional residential construction?
In the wood structure, it's more traditional. They'll build the walls, we'll come back and then drill it out after they've built the structure up.
Just on a grander scale.
On a larger scale, correct, yep.
Sure.
You're catching 4th, 3rd, 2nd, all the way down to the basement on this one stack. And these waters are also feeding up from 1st floor to 4th floor, feeding all the units. And each unit has its own set of isolation valves so we can turn off each unit.
Well, that makes sense. If you ever want to change a faucet out or you have some type of issue, you don't want to have to shut off the whole building.
That's correct.
Now over here, this looks like this is the kitchen area?
This is the kitchen area, and from before the main water risers, everything extends overhead. You can actually see some of the piping that is fed from the upstairs, the waste piping that goes and feeds into the stack. And our water piping also feeds out. And there's an ice maker box in the corner, and this is going to be the kitchen sink location.
Well, I love being able to see behind the scenes, and at all the projects I go to, it's a real privilege to see the skilled trades in action. And on a project of this magnitude, how are the guys trained? I mean, because whether you're talking about the initial excavation, the water mains, the storm sewers, all the way to completion, there's a lot for a plumber to know.
There is a lot for a plumber to know. In Wisconsin, plumbers do a 5-year apprenticeship program. They get with a company, they do their 5-year apprenticeship program. After the apprenticeship program, they're supposed to have the skills needed to come out and actually install this type of plumbing work.
And you're talking firsthand here because you're a licensed plumber. You've gone through that apprenticeship. As a matter of fact, aren't you 4th generation?
I'm a 4th generation plumber. I've gone through the plumbing apprenticeship program. I've done residential, I've done commercial, I've done light commercial type buildings, all the plumbing types of applications. And by the time you're done with your apprenticeship, most plumbers, they have the confidence and they feel pretty confident they can come and do this type of work.
Well, what I've learned is it's an exciting field. It's not just what the stereotype plumber fixing a clogged drain. I mean, on a daily basis, you never know what you're going to encounter.
This is new construction. At the end of the construction of this project, we'll be setting the fixtures. The fixtures will not have been used until we test them out. So everything you see here is brand new, all new piping, all new plumbing, new systems from ground up.
How many man hours did you have on a project like this?
I believe it's right around 4,000 man hours of just plumbing. Wow. Just plumbing.
So when we talk about the major undertaking from a developer standpoint of entering a project like this, 4,000 man hours just in the plumbing alone, and think of all the different trades that are involved in something like this. At the end of the day, make our community better, our downtowns more vibrant. I appreciate you coming on today's show and giving us a behind the scenes look at the plumbing.
You bet. Thanks, Stu.
Since they opened their doors in 1928, H.J. Pertzborn Plumbing and Fire Protection has been proudly serving the greater Dane County area and beyond with high-quality, superior service. Built on strong family values and known for their highly skilled professional plumbers and unparalleled workmanship, This fourth-generation company has been trusted by thousands of Wisconsin families and businesses for all their plumbing and fire protection needs. Whether it's a leaky faucet, brand new kitchen or bath, or a major commercial project, you can count on H.J. Pertzborn Plumbing and Fire Protection to get the job done right the first time. H.J. Pertzborn and Plumbers 75. Proud to be building Wisconsin.
Hey Tony, how's the plumbing going in this structure?
It's going great so far.
Now, how many years have you been a plumber?
12.
12 years. So what is your role on a project like this?
Right now I'm installing drain, waste, and vent. We're getting close to finishing that up finally, and as soon as that's done, I'll probably move over and start doing water pipe.
Do you find it's pretty challenging on a mixed-use project like this versus just strictly residential?
Definitely a lot more planning involved. You got to really know what's going on day to day. You got to be on the ball.
That's probably fun day to day. I mean, you get to do something different each day.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. A different challenge every day, that's for sure.
Yeah? Is that part of the reason you became a plumber?
Yeah, working outside, you're not doing the same thing every day for the rest of your life. It's always something different. The benefits are great. Those are just awesome. Also, the education is great. I mean, you're constantly learning.
And you're talking about the ongoing
ongoing education that you can take, classes. Pretty much anything you want to learn, you can get through the union as opposed to other places. So it's great.
So you like that? It's ongoing. I mean, a lot of people talk about going to college. Yeah, I'm going there to learn. Well, hey, in the trades, you're learning on a daily basis. Maybe not in a classroom per se, but out in the field.
Yep, exactly. And you might not have that big debt you're going to have to pay off in the long run either.
Do you find a lot of your education from the classroom transfers over here? I mean, I look around, it looks incredibly complicated to me, all the different trades working together, all the different pipes going in, the venting, electrical, you name it. Yet it seems choreographed. I mean, that must come from somewhere. Is that a lot of classroom book work?
Honestly, I think it's half and half. I mean, you do learn in the classroom the code, but it is something else when you get out in the field and you actually have to install it and kind of learn the ins and outs.
Well, that's kind of cool. So there's a lot of mentoring that goes on. I mean, if somebody's getting in and becoming a plumbing apprentice, they can count on the older guys there, the journey workers, to pass on their knowledge?
Yep, pretty much. Just take them under your wing and kind of show them the ropes.
Well, it seems to me that there's no time like now to become a member of the trades, especially in the plumbing field. There's a huge demand, isn't there?
Oh yeah, it's booming right now. It's great, and I don't see it slowing down at all.
Well, this is awesome. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your busy day to fill us in on what the role of a plumber is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Erik, this truly is an amazing new building on West Washington Avenue. It's been great getting a behind-the-scenes look. Now, we're on the second floor. What is planned for this area?
This is the fun part of the project now. We're wrapping it up over the next 45 to 60 days. We're standing in the new Capital Fitness, and Capital Fitness is a business I've owned and operated for 15 years in the downtown. We employ about 100 people. It's a lot of great jobs, and we bring great services to the downtown, and I believe are bringing the kind of things that make this neighborhood a great place to live.
Sure, when you talk about a neighborhood downtown, how can you work out? Where are you going to go? Is this going to be open for neighborhood use?
Oh, sure. We're open about 18 hours a day, and we have over 100 exercise classes a week and in excess of $1 million of equipment sitting in these facilities.
So when we talk about jobs, as you just mentioned, it's not just construction jobs. Sure, those are fantastic. They're valuable to our economy locally here.
These are ongoing great jobs, and people like their jobs in the fitness industry. They're passionate about what they're doing, and they're supporting and helping a lot of people meet a lot of goals.
Well, you know, one thing that's impressed me more than anything else is touring this facility is the quality of the skilled professionals here, but the quality of the construction of this building. You're not just a developer that's coming in and, hey, let's throw it up as cheap as can be. It seems to me you're in it for the long haul.
There are a wide variety of trades that are absolute masters at what they do. These are professional builders that know how to end up with a product and bring a product to fruition, to bring it to something that we're going to be proud of when we're done. These people are craftsmen, They still exist today, and they know how to build what they're building, and they know how to do what they're doing, and they do a great job at it. And these are the jobs that make America. These are the jobs that are making our new downtown Madison.
Oh, and not only downtown Madison, all our metropolitan and rural areas, responsible development. And I've always said, in Wisconsin, we are so fortunate to have a work ethic that's second to none in the trades.
These buildings are tough to build, but when we're done, we're gonna have a product that's gonna serve this downtown population for many years.
Sure, so that's from the trade perspective, the quality of the components here. You want this building to last, don't you?
This building's gotta operate smoothly for a lot of decades to come, long after I'll be around, and this building will be standing here 50, 60, 70 years from now, and it's something I certainly want to be proud of. I think it's gonna be a place that people are gonna love to live in and work in.
Sure, and we talked about the neighborhood feel. Walking and talking with some of the plumbers on the job here, seems like it was pretty challenging. I mean, when we start the construction process, you never know what you're going to run into underground.
Absolutely, and you know, when you talk about a mixed-use building, there's all sorts of extra challenges, and a lot of people don't think of some of the special trades like the plumbing trades and the heating trades that bring unique challenges to do mixed use. So for instance, I've been working with Bob Pertzborn for close to 30 years, and he's been an absolute stand-up sub for us, and he's my go-to guy when it comes to my plumbing on every job.
Well, some of the guys that we were talking to were mentioning about going down a couple stories for parking. Suddenly you think about the plumbing, the storm sewer runoff. What do you do there? How do you overcome that?
We're below the lakes and we're between the lakes, so we are pumping water 24 hours a day to accomplish our underground parking in this space.
And then being a concrete structure, there's challenges just in that alone, but just looking around here at some of the plumbing that we see, I just marvel at the skilled professionals that can do this, and it's second nature to them.
It's astonishing. The level and competence of the men and women on this job is astonishing.
Well, how long until it's up and running and you're open for business?
Well, we're going to have apartments open in 45 days, and the businesses will be open in 60 days. So it's coming right up.
It's been awesome seeing it behind the scenes. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you, Stu.
For more information on Building Wisconsin, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and be sure to watch additional episodes on YouTube or at our website, buildingwisconsintv.com. The preceding program was sponsored by the Building Wisconsin Television Network.